And we're back. We're back finally once again. We're back for another little live stream, and Bitcoin actually in a pretty interesting place right now, even though it hasn't really moved in the past, 4 or 5, 6 days. Kind of grinded up against this $95,000 region, but that is typically when things start to actually, consolidate and provide the next major opportunity. The prior major opportunity was, of course, coming off of this consolidation right here, in which Bitcoin did resolve to the upside, having a nice, nearly, actually more than $10,000 move from the resolution of that. Anyways, as the title states, the question of the day is, sell in May, and do you become attracted to miners? That's the real question. The MAPs, minor attracted peoples. Anyways, there are actually some new things to be speaking about today. I want to be bringing the full circle around for kind of what to expect in early May, and then of course also what to expect just from a technical perspective as well. We'll be going over some May statistics, and of course I will be keeping an eye on the chats over here as well. Kicking It with Kicks says, sick intro music video, reps for Z's. Yes, indeed. We all love Z's. We're all Z's. We're all... We're all a little bit attracted to Z's. Yeah, man, it is what it is. But I'm a little bit of gay, you're a little bit of gay, and we're all a little bit gay. I mean, we're looking at magic internet money. And Elsa's completely straight. However, she is in the process of transforming into a country girl. She's decided, because we are moving to Florida in the not so distant future, that she needs to learn. She needs to learn the culture, and what better culture to learn than engrossing yourself in some fucking country music. So she's been singing Country Roads or whatever the fuck it is all morning, which is it's really nice, actually. It sounds great in a Finnish accent. Anyways, Harlex says, I'm not gay. Nope, I know better than that. So no, I don't accept that. Matthew Smeeds, good morning to you, man. He says, Aziz? No, we're talking about Z's. He was this internet guy from about, Jesus, 12, 13 years ago. Oh, let's ask chat. Yeah. Okay. Let's get chat in the mix here. Fuck yeah. Okay. Who was Z's, and was he a homosexual? Or were the people who were obsessed with him just homosexual? That is the real question. I'm not quite sure myself, honestly. I think maybe a little bit of both, honestly. Anyways, ChatGPT is thinking for a long time here. This is making me sketched out. Okay, we have an answer. Yes, he was an Australian bodybuilder, personal trainer, model, and internet celebrity. He rose to fame posting his physique transformation and party lifestyle videos on YouTube, becoming the poster boy for online aesthetics. Gym subculture. Yes, imagine a forum full of mostly virgins obsessed with this guy who are talking about, bro, can you rate my aesthetics? What would you rate my aesthetics out of 10? I'm trying to get some girls. Anyways, he did tragically die of a congenital heart defect while on holiday in Thailand at age 22. Remember, there was a bunch of conspiracies that he actually faked his death. Really fucked up, but obviously not true. Anyways, there is actually no credible information or public record indicating that Z's was a homosexual. Yes, okay, so, and what about his supporters? Let's see what chat has to come back with that. Chat always knows. Chat is very, 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 very well done. And we have Xanar Aesthetics. He says, first influencer ever. It's almost like he influenced you, sir. He influenced all of us, indeed. Anyways, bro, rate my butt cheeks, please. And hemorrhoids, yeah, man. Z's fan base, often calling themselves the Z's generation. Jesus, that's fucking... Yeah, if that's not, I don't know what is, or bras, coalesced around an online aesthetics fitness subculture that sprang up on YouTube, 4chan, and Reddit forum. They forgot bodybuilding.com, the most important one. Holy shit, fuck those guys. They don't, ChatGPT doesn't know what the hell it's talking about. I quit it. Anyways, RIP. Now Aziz is on the Ascension Islands, chilling with Tupac and Biggie. Yeah, that's exactly right. Tupac and Biggie also famously faked their own deaths as well. And probably also Michael Jackson there is too, with his own, amusement park for his own minor attracted person fantasies. I always love watching those Michael Jackson documents. Elsa calls them documents, even though they're actually documentaries. I don't know why, but it sounds very funny. Anyways, yeah, you can see all sorts of crazy things about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, he really loved kids. And when I say that he really loved kids, I don't think of him as as the traditional child predator, you know, who's like out there just taking advantage of kids and raping them. What he was doing, however, why are you laughing? What he was doing, however, is he really loved kids. Like, believe me, I watched these documents, and they showed the kids speaking with Michael Jackson on the phone, and he was speaking with them for like fucking 2, 3, 4 hours every day. Okay, I love Elsa. She's great. She's amazing. We've never done that. Not even once. Okay, why? Because, well, you can already guess why. Now, if that's not true love, I don't know what is. So should we really be, you know, talking downwards to Michael Jackson? He was obviously a pioneer in the field. Anyways, Peter Pan syndrome. Yeah, a little bit of that as well. Why did that make me laugh? Like Elsa says Harlex. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe we're all a little bit fucked up here. Anyways, Bitcoin and child predators. That is the topic of today. We're all about to get our cheeks clapped, I guess. Mike's Magic Coke can, says Worker. See a bunch of super chats already as well. I appreciate that, but we will get to that after the good old Bitcoin analyses. Daily Emerging Artist says, Krown off track again. You must be new here, sir, because this is very on. This is very normal for this channel. It's just been a while, I suppose, and I guess my streaming service just kind of died over here, so hopefully it's still going. It looks like it is still going, so all good. Yeah, and if you want some reclamations, whatever the fuck that means, it's some other Finnish English word, I guess. Email Elsa@derp.com and and she will take care of you. What's up, Mr. Peter Underwood? Good to see you as well, sir. Sup, vegans? Yes, we're vegans, and also many other things as well. Tuesdays? Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
yes, indeed.
That
is actually right. In Finland, we're forced to be vegans here. They're phasing out the fucking beef at the supermarkets. Every day I go to the supermarket, who knows? It's going to be a fucking coin flip. Is there beef there? Is there not beef there? And when I say beef, I mean like pretty much all meat. They actually have a massive shortage right now because, well, the woke mind virus has taken over here, and Finland is the biggest issue when it comes to global, issues and all of these sort of things. So we need to be better. We need to eat less. And soon enough we'll be eating all the bugs, and that's fine. I love fucking bugs. You love bugs as well, and we can all just eat some bugs together, I guess, which is really fucking cool. Anyways. Meme Machine says, Hero Krown, MJ had his own casting couch. Yes, indeed. He actually had a casting bed, and I know the stories because I actually have studied these documents. And when I say documents, I mean documentaries. And yes, he would have, many children over to his house. Okay. He would show them. He got so fucking famous so that he could have enough money to build an amusement park in his backyard so that he could entice kids to come over and play on his fucking, Ferris wheel and then suck his cock. And then this is true. Okay. This is true. And he would have many kids in his bed. Okay. And they would play all sorts of, tiger games and shit like this. I watched the videos. I watched the documentaries. I didn't watch the actual videos of this shit. And it's very clear what happened. It's very, very clear what happened. And please. He did give them houses. My favorite part of the documents is when the mother gets interviewed of one of the childs who was, allegedly touched and also fucked, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, they interviewed the mother and they're like, did you have any idea of what was going on? And she's like, no, I have no idea. And then they say, okay, well, like 5 years ago, Michael Jackson seems to have bought you a new house and new car. Is this related to the incident? And she said, well, I know that it looks like this, but no, not at all. I had no idea. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, lady. Look, you might think your parents are terrible, but if they didn't take you to Michael Jackson's fuck ranch, then they're not that bad, are they? Anyways, Thriller is a classic, and that's why I still love him. I still love him. You should still love him as well. We all still love him. In Ultimate Team Dave. Good morning to you as well, sir. Good morning indeed. And we got Mr. Van Doyce, and he says, but all the monies, though. Yeah, that's right. I mean, everyone has their price, I guess. Everyone has their price. Jesus Christ, that boat is going really fast out there. That must be a Finnish Coast Guard or some shit. MJ put the U in fun. Jesus. The Ram Ranch, baby. That's one way of thinking about it, I guess. Anyways. Yes, the Mossad set up Michael Jackson. That's right. It's always the Jews' fault. That is the answer to everything. In fact, I saw it here in Finland. When I was walking to get my coffee this morning, I met with one massive fucking sticker that is "Free Palestine and Kill the Zionists." I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Finnish people are so fucking dumb. They're so fucking dumb, honestly. No, they're not. I'm kidding. They're very, 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 very smart. But some of them, mainly the newcomers, are very fucking stupid. Anyways, I love Finland. Well, maybe a little bit less so now. The Video Kingdom says, don't love him too much. He might get up from his grave and give you that white and black African American cock. Maybe, but who says that that's a bad thing? MJ loves sword fighting. Yeah, he had all sorts of sword fights, with usually many spectators as well. Michael Jackson and Harvey Weinstein's stories aren't what they seem. Listen to Candace Owens. Oh dear God, Candace Owens is the biggest fucking moron of all time, man. Like, if you haven't learned this yet, like seriously, do one fucking page of research. She can only fool the retards out there in the world. She can only fool them now. She's let herself go so far that she can only fool the most dumb of the dumb people who do not do a modicum of research themselves and just accept some sort of dumb explanation from someone on the internet because they have a microphone, just like me. Anyways, low IQ woke people will be happy to eat the bugs and weigh 100 pounds. Yes, makes it very easy to control the populations as well, I suppose. When you don't have real nutritions going into your body, the shit that we've been eating since the dawn of time, hundreds of thousands of years ago, that all of our ancestral evolutionary ancestors come from. But no, now it's very bad. Oh yeah, I think Ben Shapiro is a fucking moron as well. I'm not choosing sides here. I don't even think he's that funny, honestly. I mean, Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, they're the same to me, just morons, fucking morons. It's not like you have to choose a side, man. It's not like you have to choose a side. What's up, Philson? Good morning to you as well, sir. We do have a lovely, lovely Japanese in here. Japanese are the best, as always. He will rip you a new bunghole, then take your nose. Maybe a little bit of that as well. Look, bro, I think you're wrong. Diddy and Michael Jackson loved kids. They would never diddle them. Did he as well? I've only watched a couple of... Diddy was quite fucked up, man. Like, Jesus Christ, this guy. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Anyways, enough of the child rapist conversations. We should talk about some magic internet money because it's a very serious day and we need to talk about many very interesting things going on right here for the old cryptocurrencies of the world. What about Michael Knowles? I have no idea who that is, honestly. Krown just hates all altcoins. I don't hate all of them. I just think most of them are, on a long-term trend towards zero. Probably if you had to put a percentage number on it, maybe around like 98%. That does mean that there are going to be a few massive, outsized, humongous winners that will outperform Bitcoin in the near term. Yes, that always will happen. However, if you are a betting man, you're almost always going to be better off betting against altcoins in the long term because their long-term trend is towards zero, unfortunately. And the very, very few that survive are the exception to the rule. They are not the rule themselves. Krown has only almost been raped once in Chicago. Actually, there was many times, in fact, but one of them was quite close. It involved some, not by woman. That's true. It was not by woman. Anyways, those stories are for another stream, which I've divulged maybe too much information in the past about anyways. All right, let's get into some actual Bitcoin price action analysis. I want to start it off over here with the topic of the day. Sell in May and walk away is the traditional sort of knowledge that a lot of people speak about. In fact, actually, I'm going to record this. Sell in May and walk away. Is this the actual right thing to be doing coming into May? This is, traditional knowledge coming into the markets here, which typically states, hey, you want to sell in May, walk away until about September or so. Market's going to be quiet during that time. And if we go throughout the history of Bitcoin, is that true? Well, it is true in some instances, but certainly not in all instances. In fact, if we go and analyze every May in Bitcoin's history, 7 out of 14 have led to significant downsides. So that is essentially a coin flip. It's a 50-50 right there. And I should acknowledge, however, that 3 out of 4 of the cycle bull traps have happened in May, actually. And effectively, it is all of them have happened in May. The reason why I say all of them have happened in May is because the first cycle over here did not have a bull trap, or at least not a meaningful bull trap on a monthly time frame. So I can't really say that it was, or it didn't even have an opportunity to do it there. But of course, over here in 2014, you can see that May, while it closed positively, did essentially lead into the overall bull trap, and Bitcoin was down for like the next year or so. Of course, in 2018, same thing. May, a bit of a bull trap right here after that last attempt in April to, I think it was about 9,000 or 10,000 bucks, and it was just down only from there. And then of course, in our most recent cycle, we did see in May the big breakdown below about 40,000 bucks, and that did lead towards I guess sub $20,000 prices. So if we look at actual bull traps or cycles that had bull trap, then yes, they all did happen in May. So that does deserve a little bit of consideration, but it's not a 100% thing. And like I said, May is just about as likely to lead to long-term price action to the upside as it is to the downside. You can see several instances over here where it actually did lead toward, I don't necessarily say that it was the breakout here, but this was a phenomenal place to be entering into long-term positions, of course. Same thing over here, same thing over here. Even over here on this low, yes, it did test a little bit lower. That's fine, did not close below. And again, in hindsight, looking a year out from there, that would have been a phenomenal buy. So let's go to the actual statistics over here. I have measured all of the Mays from open to close and found that out of 14 of them, 9 of them did actually close positively. So it does have a higher positive close rate at about 64.25%. But like I said, even some of those that did close positively, effectively, it was the high before, major long-term downside. Now, on top of that, we should review the average win return, the average loss return, also look at the medians for these as well. The average loss return and the median loss return are essentially the same at about 10% when May has been a negative closing month. And the average win return and the median win return, in fact, actually very interesting right here, the median win return is higher. And now that I recognize it, I actually derped it up right there. But the median win return is still going to be higher at 27.34% versus the average win return for May at just under 23%. So I'm going to mark that to the middle there at 25%. Let's just see what this would kind of imply for a range of interest coming into the month of May. We're going to assume that Bitcoin closes somewhere around here. Of course, a lot can happen between now and tomorrow night's closure, which is going to be the end of May. Let me just double check. I believe it is. Tomorrow's the 30th, and there's only 30 days in April. Anyways, so I'm just going to make a major assumption here that Bitcoin is going to be somewhere around 94,000 bucks. If Bitcoin were to play out a 10% move to the downside, that would put Bitcoin back down around about 85,000 bucks. I do think that that's possible, but it would require Bitcoin obviously to break below a very critical level to the downside, which is, we'll get into it later, but I think around 91,000 bucks. Anyways, to the upside, let's just see what 20% or so to the upside would look like. That would put Bitcoin on new all-time highs above 115,000 US dollars, highly inflated US dollars as always. But, these are averages and medians. So there's going to be some variance around these numbers, obviously, but it can give us, a range of possibility to be looking forward towards maybe positioning around coming into this next month of price action. Now, moving on from there, I do want to get into why the short term relative to May is more likely to produce a pullback. So if we go over here to our daily time frame on Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin is right around that last major swing high coming in from the 1st of March when Bitcoin had, the 2nd of March when Bitcoin had this big attempt up just above $95,000. We can see from the wick of that high, Bitcoin has still failed to actually close above it. Thus, no breakout has been had. And that is my major criteria to confirm an actual breakout with, probably price action to 6 digits if I had to guess. That is going to be just above 95,000 bucks. In fact, if you want to put a number on it, let's just say 95,200. As long as Bitcoin's closing dailies below there, it's more likely to pull back from a region like this than push through. Doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it's just more likely. And of course, we do see that there is some bearish divergence here forming on the daily time frame. The daily bearish divergence potential right here is not like a crazy amount. It's not like a fucking death sentence or anything like this, but it can be good enough for like a multi-$1,000 pullback, which would not not necessarily destroy things just yet. 12-hour time frame, same thing. In fact, it has 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence come off of this high, and this high. You can also see the price action pivot here, which is becoming, it's like quickly becoming my like go-to video indicator, just because it's so fucking clean. But it is pointing towards Monday's low at just under $93,000 as a pivot to define that the trend is going to have a short-term / medium-term breakdown. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to get into stochastic momentum. We can see from all higher term time frames, stochastic momentum is, kind of in a precarious place, bless you, sir. But 12-hour time frame is going to be showing downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 95,300. Again, take note that pivot is actually higher than the breakout condition that we laid out earlier. Daily time frame is already down as of a couple days ago, and will be showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below about the same number, 95,300. 2-day time frame, which is closing, I think, it's closing tomorrow night, is currently getting into some pretty crazy territory here, territory that we have not seen since November of last year, which again is a long-term good signal, but it's just going to be difficult to kind of keep up this momentum within this region for a much longer time. That one will technically turn down below $90,000. I suspect that pivot will move up significantly upon the new open. The 3-day time frame also in a very, very high positioning here as well, and the 5-day time frame just kind of turning around right now. So higher term time frames are actually still kind of in favor, whereas the lower end of the higher term time frames is now starting to be a little bit more of a counter signal. So we basically have the exact opposite signal as what we saw. What was this, like a few weeks ago when we were looking at, low $80,000 and we're saying, hey, this is more likely to head to the upside, low to mid $90,000 territory first before anything else. And if we do get a rejection there, I mean, that's when, you potentially have a real issue. But let's discuss now, what would essentially confirm that Bitcoin does actually have a real issue. It's not just a pullback, and it is likely to, head much below $90,000. Perhaps even being, the next major massive bull trap. Well, I'd like to go over to the HPDR indicator over here. Again, this one is still my favorite, honestly. Like I think Caretaker stuff is just the best, to just put it fucking bluntly. But it takes a little bit more of, I guess, takes a little bit more work to actually understand it, which is fine. I understand it's maybe not as good for beginners, but looking at the 5-day here, I want to call specific attention to the median, which is 91,300 on a 5-day time frame. As long as Bitcoin's above there, any pullback has the potential to just be another higher low, and it's all good in the hood, and still potential for Bitcoin in the more near term, I suppose, to move up to 6 digits plus. However, if Bitcoin does violate the median and close below there, then I would be looking for Bitcoin to come down probably towards that $85,000 number, maybe even a little bit lower. The 38.2 level to the downside is actually at $82,000 right now. And of course, if Bitcoin came back down around there, it would still technically be a 5-day time frame higher low. But it does, beg the question: is this going to be a trap, or is this going to be an opportunity? If you're thinking from the long side, but I can see it going multiple ways. I think the most bullish way, honestly, would be something like this: comes down in May, spends most of May to June consolidating within this region, setting in a higher term time frame, higher low, and then giving a big try to the upside. That would actually make me quite bullish for this market to make new all-time highs, probably into like September, or maybe, September / very early October, something like this. I still don't think that the market overall has that much time to go through. And then, of course, if Bitcoin does, break below $80,000 again, then hey, all bets are off, I suppose. Anyways, as far as the timing of this, well, we've already spoken about the moons many times. I won't do that again, just because I know that most people really fucking hate it. But we can look at the Fibonacci time zones. Again, I'm using a Fibonacci time sequence from the high to the low of the prior cycle, and we can see that it is generally lined up pretty well with major highs and major lows for this current cycle for Bitcoin. And we are coming into the next Fibonacci time zone date of region of interest, which is the 6th of May. The 6th of May on the daily here. Now, if we go to a 5-day time frame, we're basically already on it. So it depends what sort of angle you look at it from. But we can basically say between now and the end of the first week of May, you would be expecting a local high to be put in here, because anytime that we have seen price action approach that date, it typically takes a counter move. Now, a counter move doesn't necessarily mean like to zero or anything like this. Obviously over here, these were big pullbacks, but they were opportunities nonetheless. Whereas over here, I'd have to say the same thing at first glance. So I think that is kind of where we'll leave it off for today. We went over May statistics. We went over, technicals showing short term is more likely to play to the downside. Again, as long as Bitcoin's below about 95,300, let's say, on a closing basis. We spoke about the timing of this, and we spoke about the exact point on a closing basis for the 5-day time frame where things actually do start to really signal an actual breakdown, and that is based off the HPDR over here. And by the way, just as the text says on the chart, you can actually try out this indicator for free. You can try out all of Caretaker's indicators for free for the first 30 days with that code trial in all capitals. Again, Caretaker actually has like a wide dearth of indicators in his suite because some of them, like the RSI, certainly more appropriate for, I would say, beginners, whereas the HPDR, again, I think that this is one of the most valuable indicators that I really use. But for newer people, it might be a little bit too much. Anyways, it all comes in the same package, so all good right there. Of course, we also got the quantum wave bands, which I should acknowledge that this one did finally close that fucking trade that I was saying, hey, this would be a good one to close now while it's in profit. This one opened at $93,000, closing officially on Monday night at about 95,100, and actually opening yet another long right here at $94,000. I kind of feel the same way about this one as I did about this one. It's like, I think maybe taking some profits might be wise in this case, but hey, you can trade it however you want. You don't have to automate it. You can use it more as like a signal to be a call of action and pay attention. At the end of the day, I think that the indicator, as we've shown it, or the strategy as we've shown it, has shown an edge. We've been showing it now for the last couple months, I believe. And, it's quite consistent. No, it's not going to be a winning trade every fucking time, obviously, but it gives you objective and objectively defined areas of interest for entry and exit, most importantly. And again, you can try this one for free as well. By the way, we're actually going to be raising the price on this on May 1st so that everyone gets more fucked alongside the bull trap. No, just kidding. But the price will go from $70 to $90, and the lifetime will go from $1,500 to $2,000. So yeah, just want to make sure that everyone knows that who's actually interested in it. And then of course, you can even try out the price action pivots indicator with that same code trial. All right, that's enough shilling for one moment. I will now get on to the comments over here. All right, let's see what else is lined up for me. I think it is. Yes, it is ready. We are ready. All right. Carpe Diem says, possible to get TA for Pudgy Penguins at NFT. I highly doubt that NFTs are on TradingView, but I can try. Pudgy. Oh, it is. It is. That's actually surprise. Pengu. Oh, maybe this is something different. I actually don't know. So I might be off base here, but this is the closest thing I can find on TradingView. Yeah, man, it's going back to all-time highs and beyond. Look, like, it is a great place for another lower high, to be honest. Daily time frame, that does look like at least a short-term reversal, similar to Bitcoin. I would be expecting this one to come back down, below 1 cent. But I'm guessing this is not the same thing as your NFT. Maybe it tracks the NFT. I don't know. But if this is anything to go off of, I think you got your next local high right here. Next move is a pullback, but theoretically could put in a higher low. And then if things get really crazy in this market, like let's say Bitcoin goes back to new all-time highs, maybe this thing will see like 2 cents. But very, very far away from there, to be fair, man. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully that was even, close to the right asset, to be honest. I really don't know. Steven Schickman says, GM, doggy daily, weekly, please. Sure, man. Let's see. Daily, weekly. I know that you like your higher time frames, as do I. Looking at the weekly, okay. We've been saying for a while now, it's not going to break the 200 simple on a closing basis before like a greater bounce first. We've been saying balance should get somewhere around like a quarter. Thus far, it's gotten up to about 18 cents. That's fine. It can take some time, but I do want to highlight the importance here of the weekly time frame remaining above that red moving average, which is a 5 EMA, and it's at 17.3 cent. So as long as you're above there on a daily, not daily, but weekly closing basis, I still think that this one does have higher to go. Probably goes up to at least a quarter, something like this, with potential for more. But if you do lose that on a weekly, I would look for another run towards sense at 200 simple, and that actually would start to really look to me like it's likely to break down. You know, it would kind of have worn out its welcome. Daily time frame does have a lower high in place as well, so not great in the short term. Pretty nasty rejection actually on Saturday's dildo right there, but it's not really confirmed as a local high until you actually close below about 17 and a half cents on a daily time frame. So as long as you're above there, a bit of short-term hopium does remain alive. But if you start to lose there, I would be looking for a pullback closer to 16 cents or so. Again, that's not necessarily a death sentence. It depends where the weekly closes in order to maybe initiate a death sentence, but I'd still be leaning towards general upside right here. Going over let's go over from a stochastic momentum perspective. I just want to see if we have all higher term timeframes in agreement. Daily timeframes turning down. So yeah, do have to kind of favor a little bit of short term downside, I guess. 2-day, 3-day. We already know 5-day still very much positioned to the upside. 10-day time frame, is going to cross up very soon as well. Actually tomorrow, assuming it can remain above 17 cents, and same thing with the weekly. So yeah, I would still be favoring overall a continuation move to the upside. Anyways, I need to get my water over here. I put some salt and creatine in it this morning, and it's actually quite good. I finally figured out that my issue with creatine is because I was taking about 4 times the recommended dose, and then it would just make my insides completely shit out. Not very fun, honestly. Anyways, Turbo Daddy says, good morning, Mr. and Miss Derp. Good morning to you as well. CL1 on the weekly and daily, still range bound or finally breaking down. We've had a bearish bias on it, although the short term was ranging. Let's see if it actually is confirming a breakdown now. That would be, so exciting. And I would have to say, yeah, I mean, price action pivot says down. This is a weekly time frame, and as of this week, remain bearish as long as it's below. What was this? The late March rally, which was 72 and a quarter. Does it look like a real breakdown on a monthly? Yeah, it's very, 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 very close. I mean, we still got another day left of trading, but I imagine if it closes below, what would it be? If it closed below about 62 and a quarter, which is below right now, yeah, that does imply an actual breakdown, I guess. Quarterly looks pretty ugly. It's a little bit too early to be judging the quarterly, to be fair. I'm curious what the bi-monthly looks like, because that one's going to help out my Bitcoin analysis quite a fair bit, but I just selected the wrong time frame. Bi-monthly is coming off of the 200 simple, and we do see momentum very low here. It's like, I don't know how much lower it has to go, man. This is what I hate about oil and shit like oil. It's very much driven by geopolitical type shit. So it makes tentacles a lot less trustworthy. If I'm going off of trend, yeah, you have it in there. Yes, I think that this one does try another downside move, but I probably wouldn't be getting like too bearish on this, to be honest. Although I do think it does come down more. Let's say maybe closer to like $50 or so. Anyways. Waves for Life says, it's wild, bro. So many pseudo TA influencers out there in the crypto space, and you're the only, I'm sure I'm not the only one, man. And honestly, like, I get things wrong all the time too. I mean, shit, you just look at my fucking YouTube comments. Some people think that I only get things wrong, which fair enough, that is their prerogative. But yeah, man, just because I have an opinion doesn't mean that it's going to be right. But of course, now give me some degen gas TA fart. Nice. No problem, man. I got you. I'll do my best on this one. I still think that this one is probably putting in a local high. I believe I said that last time we looked at it last week. Yeah, it had its chance yesterday to really break out here, in my opinion, and instead closes a rejection. So, I do favor this one as putting in a high here. Again, just like Bitcoin, nothing's a guarantee, but as long as it's below 120 on a daily closing basis, I would treat this as, forming a major high right here. Looking at all higher term timeframes, I mean, it's at a beautiful place that, would be great for a higher term timeframe pullback. Now, of course, because Fartcoin has actually had such an epic move from the lows to the highs here, you kind of have to be on higher low watch first, and higher low could come all the way down like towards 80 or 70 cents and still be a higher low and set it up, maybe later. But looking at it here, I would be more angled towards the downside. Maybe it spikes up into this green line, a couple more times. That's fine. But until it actually closes above there, I would be treating this one as, or trades above yesterday's high, by the way, as well. I'd be treating it as more likely to play out a pullback. And yeah, I mean, this thing could easily pull back with the way that it trades towards like 70 to 80 cents. But to be fair, I mean, it has had a much better rally than almost anything else in this market over this past month. So it's like, it's not like you can't make money on it, but well, if it does head up here, I mean, it's going to have a fucking explosive move. Let's talk about, okay, in the event that it actually does take out yesterday's high, how high can it go? I mean, let's just say $1.50. I'll just pick like a blind number right there. Something like this, man. Hopefully that was helpful, brother. Anyways, Coffee Please Non says, AI16Z, do you think this will reach all-time high? Well, it is a highly esteemed altcoin, maybe even a meme coin. So I'm going to guess, yeah, absolutely, man. It's definitely going back to all-time highs for sure. For sure, bro. It's going to all-time highs and actually new all-time highs as well. In fact, if we look at the percentage, it's really not that big of a move if you consider things. It's only 738% move to new all-time highs, bro. Don't think so, man. Definitely not this cycle. I think in the best case scenario, like let's say Bitcoin moves to new all-time highs or something like this, maybe you see it back around $1 or a little bit above $1. But I mean, look, man, this, like, you don't need me to tell you that this is garbage. It's literally only ever gone down. Like, it only knows how to go down. Maybe there's another chart that actually shows it going up for a little bit. Ah, there we go. So this is what happens in the new life of all altcoins or meme coins or whatever. I mean, it's basically all of them essentially. It goes up for a couple of weeks when it first releases. When it's extremely easy to do that, it gets everyone's attention, which makes people think, oh shit, it just went up another fucking 20% in a day. This is crazy, man. This thing moves around so much. It's nothing for it to go up a little bit more, and then it's the oh fuck. It's the oh fuck all the way down. And then we have to ask ourselves, why the fuck did we ever think that something named AI16Z, which is literally a proclaimed meme coin, ever did anything at all that was significant? And for that, I give you the Bert stare. Because look, it is having a nice rally here, sure, but as long as you're in higher term time frame downtrends, which this thing has only ever known what a downtrend is, you know, even if it got another move to the upside here, I'd be looking for like 50 cents at most in the short term. Yeah, man. It's hard to do a real analysis on something like this, to be honest, just because it's like, it doesn't really play with the rest of the market. It just goes down and, you know, tries to find the next best place for another lower high. Anyways, to answer your question, yeah, it's going back to all-time highs and more. So make sure to buy without a stop loss. This is not financial advice, by the way, and it's also a joke. Pisa says, morning, Mr. Krown. Could you take a look into XRP? Yes, XRP, everyone's favorite non-meme coin. Let's see. It's still above all major moving averages on a weekly. Weekly stochastic momentum is having a chance to cross the upside here. It does look weak to me, and it did break this weekly regression, I should acknowledge as well. Kind of similar to Bitcoin, actually. So it does make me defensive. But just based off of trend, like, I do have to lean towards 250. But here's the thing, like, if Bitcoin plays out a pullback, let's say to $91,000, even if it doesn't like actually break down, but just plays out a pullback there, what would something like XRP do? I'd imagine it'd be back around $2, and that kind of destroys, you know, the structure that I'm looking at right now. It would effectively confirm this higher term time frame next to lower high, and probably another run even below $2 overall. So, you know, I'll be cognizant of that. But as of right now, you know, higher term timeframes still look okay to me. I mean, in fact, they don't just look okay, they look a lot better than most of the things. As long as the monthly is above the red moving average, which is 211, you know, it's better than most things in terms of charts. You know, it really is. So I'd just be cognizant of that. Now, the price action pivots is showing this last higher low here as the most recent pivot at 216. That is to say, as long as you're above 216, you can run with the assumption, hey, you know, probably more upside in store. However, if it does take out this low, expect lower. I mean, expect lower than this, obviously, but expect, you know, probably back down below $2. And then this really starts to look like a bull trap lower high on higher term timeframes, which would be pretty fucking ugly. So yeah, I will pin your message. Elsa would like to have her message pinned, and that's right. No spamming. Yeah. Spamming is annoying. Okay, let's see what else we got. We have Pisa. He says, morning, Mr. Krown. Good morning to you as well, sir. Oh, wait, no, I literally just did that. My apologies. But good morning to you again. Anyways, out of time, 247 says, hone stock, please. Thank you for specifying that it is indeed a stock. What is this? Harborne Ban Corp. Okay, I don't know what this is, but fair enough. Bless you, sir. Okay. So I'm guessing the monthly is putting in a higher low here. So long term, okay. Daily time frame, does it come back down and trade towards like $10.50? I don't know, maybe. But overall, I'd probably be looking for this one to make a leg up in the coming months towards 12 and a quarter to 12 and a half. With potential for significantly more, because I mean, this is a monthly higher low and a quarterly higher low. So if it actually is reversing here, I mean, it's just, it's going to generally just go back towards that previous high, which is significantly higher. Well, I don't know about significantly higher, but it is decently higher than where things are at right now. But yeah, first things first, short term, does it play out a short term pullback? Maybe, but I would give it a chance in the coming months to make another leg up. And if it can do that and really close the quarterly, especially above like 11 and a half, I think that it actually would challenge this past high here, probably even exceed it as well. But yeah. All right. We have Crypto Shart. He says, don't hate me. Targets for this DDCT bounce bonk wheat WK. What the fuck? I don't understand all the acronyms, sir. I think you mean TA on bonk. Okay, well, at least that makes a little more sense. Again, another highly esteemed meme coin that I feel quite confident saying, hey, you probably have your all-time high in for a very long time here. Doesn't mean that I can't have, decent rallies. It literally just had a decent rally, to be fair, and it is kind of getting rejected at a place that you wouldn't really want to be rejected at. I do think there is potential for one more spike higher towards the 200 simple here at about 24,000 or so, but this one kind of has the same issues as most other meme coins, right? It has lower highs, it's within a downtrend, and it's at the next, area of interest that you'd be looking for if it is going to continue with that downtrend. Now, of course, all trends fail at some point, but it hasn't failed yet, so fair enough. And as long as it's above that pivot, I would be saying, okay, I guess you can have a little bit of bull hopium here. 4-hour price action pivot is very close to current price action. It's just a low of yesterday, sorry, it's not the low of yesterday, but it is 19,000, whatever the hell number that is. Overall, it really would not be asking for too much to get one more leg to the upside after a short-term pullback. If it does take another leg up, again, I would imagine this is alongside a Bitcoin move to new all-time highs. Maybe you see somewhere around here, I'd guess, in this current red circle right here. But yeah, all right, that is it for the YouTube super chats. Let's see what we got over here on my other screen. I see many familiar faces, so I'm gonna pick out some of the new guys, or sorry, some of the old OGs here first. Let's see. The Italian Stallion says, "Can you check out Area Soul on the daily?" Okay, this is gonna be great, I'm sure. Area Soul. Okay. All right. Well, there's not much of a... okay, this is a monthly. Not terrible. At least it has an uptrend, but this is being charted versus Solana, to be fair. Like, it just has to outpace Solana, which in the shorter term hasn't been so difficult to do. I really don't know on this one, man. It's a little bit too new for me, and I don't see a clear and obvious trend. If any, it kind of does have an uptrend, but it's just not super obvious. If you're on the short term, I think it probably comes back down around this region here first, before anything else. Maybe even puts another low, a little bit lower than that around here, but somewhere within that region. So I'd be looking for on the next major low. I guess if you put a gun in my head and said analyze it, but I don't feel confident about this thing. It's just when you got two shitcoins charted versus each other, it makes it very convoluted and difficult, especially when there's a lack of history to begin with. So I don't really have any strong opinions on this chart, man. Let's see. The Jun Chen knows the shitcoin police sound. Actually, I don't think I have it anymore, which is really unfortunate. GHB says Nvidia. Let's actually look at Nvidia. I'm honestly a lot more interested in stocks these days. Just to be 100% transparent. I still hold Bitcoin, but stocks. Stocks. I just feel better there. Feels more like home. Anyways, Nvidia getting a pretty epic bounce. Just like most stocks, I do think that the bounce continues higher. So for Nvidia, I think that it will see somewhere around like 120 to 125 region. That is where I would be expecting on a potential lower high bull trap, and then downside from there. So I'd be defensive around that region. Doesn't mean it's going to happen from there, but expect like a pivot around there essentially for price. So yeah, I mean, that's really all that I got to say about that, man. Higher term timeframes are pretty ugly. Monthly stochastic momentum, bearish divergence, of multiple drives and down. Quarterly, bearish engulfing dildo to close out Q1 of 2025. Yes, it already has had a really nasty downside move, but I do think that this one, after this bounce extends a little bit more, I wouldn't be surprised to see it back down closer to like, I don't know, $70 or so. Just as a personal opinion. I can be massively wrong on this, by the way, massively fucking wrong, but next move should be a bounce. I don't think the bounce is done just yet. And the bounce, as always, will have a chance to actually reclaim itself. And, if you can trade back above 140, then that would be massively fucking bullish. Anyways, Patham says, hey man, can you look at STX on the daily weekly? Sure. We've looked at this actually on a past live stream, I'm sure, and I remember we were saying up to 90-ish or $1, and then decision time, and it did get up to 93 cents, not bad. In this case, it's like I really don't like this price action right here, and I really don't like how the higher term timeframes look. But if there's one piece of credit I can give it, it's that from cycle to cycle, it does hold higher lows, and it is actually still on a higher low here as well. So I would respect that until proven otherwise. And that means that, while I do think a short-term pullback is a little more likely, it is higher lows as long as you're above about 58 cents, let's say. So it could pull back a decent amount and then still set up for a continuation move to the upside. I do think somewhere around the daily 200 simple here is still going to be an area of interest on wherever this rally could lead towards. If we do get another leg to the upside, that's currently at about 130 to 135. So yeah, that's really all that I got to say about that, man. But I'd be very, if it does take out the April lows, I would effectively say that, hey, this thing actually has made, a new macro cycle low, and, just expect the traditional, shitcoin chart, which is just sideways and down. I understand that this is not necessarily shitcoin. It's like DeFi on Bitcoin, which is actually a really cool idea. In fact, that's something that I'd be looking for or interested in. Does anyone, without fucking giving away your keys, can you actually do that? Probably not. Otherwise, I'm sure everyone would be on that. You would think, at least. Anyways, iVape says, good morning, Krown and Elsa. Good morning, Choosewell, Mr. OG. Thanks for your thoughts on the markets. I appreciate the anal ISIS. How's the dog doing, says Van Duysen. What dog? Oh, you're talking to Elsa, probably. Market's getting some pamp here, says Crypto Clown World. Is it? I mean, well, I guess if you're on like very low term time frames, sure. It's getting one nice hourly green dildo right there, which is pretty cool. When is the abundance guy back? I need to make a meme out of him too, man. He's just too good. He's too good. Vacation time 247 says, looking for Tesla to take a dump. Their earnings report was absolute garbage. Actually, let's look at Tesla really quickly. Tesla is something that I'd be interested in kind of getting into a long-term hodl position in as well. Did their earnings report already come out? If it did, then I would say you've already seen the response from that move. It was a short-term downside move from 300 to 270 and then quickly bought back on up. Oops, damn it. Let me do it this way. Okay, let's do there and there. Yeah, a 7.5% downside. It's like such a big fucking move in a day for a stock especially, but I guess not that big of a deal for Tesla. Yeah, Tesla is right at a position where if you're going to be bearish, you'd have a good case. It's right around the 200 simple. It rejected there yesterday, and that is officially at 291.5. So as long as you're closing dailies below there, I would be a little bit skeptical of this one. In fact, I would even say you need to have a bit more of an artist's eye here and be looking perhaps more towards about 309 to kind of declare an actual breakout. But, I do see signals of accumulation here. I am seeing higher term time frame momentum also starting to turn up as well again. So personally, I do think that I would have to favor the upside, and I do think that it will break back out north of $300, probably closer to like 350 or so. This thing can move and it can move fast. Monthly time frame has been a pretty epic bounce off of the 55. A quarterly time frame, epic bounce off of the 21 so far. Even the bi-monthly, which is closing very soon, is so far so good. It doesn't look super strong to me. It doesn't look like it's ready to challenge all-time highs or anything like this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing trading towards like 350 or so. And if it does take out the lows, if you do see it back down below like 250, okay, I'm wrong, and and you should fucking kill me and fire me. But at that point, probably looking around $200, I suppose, or a little bit below $200. But that's far away for now. All right. Let's see what else we got. We have Mr. Peepoo. Peepoo says, Wolf versus Ethereum. Land Wolf. All right. Wolf. What? I spelled it wrong. Whoops. All right. There we go. Land Derp. Again, pretty epic monthly bounce here. Another one that I'd have to say, don't think it's going to be reclaiming this high anytime soon. But, well, this is a pretty damn good place for rejection right here. I would say if you see the daily close below the 200 simple again, which is about 3,200, I would look at that as, it's technically not a confirmed rejection, but it would effectively be the same thing for me. Yeah, man, hard one to love. Hard one to love. But I suppose as long as you're closing above there, then I guess there's a chance. There's a chance. If it does continue, I'd be looking somewhere around like 42, 4,300, but I just don't trust these things very much. I'd feel a lot more confident saying, hey, this is probably your high for the cycle, maybe even for life. Any bounce between now and then is really a chance to get out. If it does get continuation, I think it's capped around there. But again, I can be wrong on these things. We'll see. But I'd keep an eye on the daily. If it does close below that pivot, that would be a pretty significant signal to me that, hey, this thing is putting in another local high right here and it's going to turn down again, continue on with the trend, which is long-term to the downside. Round trip no more says CRV or Pendle. Let's look at Pendle, actually. Which one looks better for 2025? I don't fucking know, because I don't look at these things. Not great. Let's look at CRV. Oh, even better. Wow, amazing. Dude. You don't... This is like choosing between a turd sandwich and a giant douche, and both of your options are not great here, in my opinion, but at least this one has a long-term uptrend, so there's that. I don't know how long that long-term uptrend survives for, but better than the other thing. I ain't saying that this one's going to go up significantly from here, but if I had to position in one, it would be this one, not the other one. But that's just me. I'm always going to favor long-term trends versus, long-term trends. It's up versus down in this case. So yeah, you got that at least. How far down has this thing come from its current high? Oh, only 74.5%. Not bad. Crypto Shart says, hi, Mom. Hello, sir. RNDR dead cat bounce. How high weekly daily? RNDR. Okay. This one was very popular not so long ago, like a couple of years ago. Looks eerily similar to that Pendle chart in the more recent times as well. How high could it go on a dead cat bounce? If things do extend from here, it could get all the way up to like $7, 7-ish, something like that. But you are entering into a monthly downtrend here, right? There's your high, there's your low, there's your lower high. This is, of course, a lower low. So, it bounces probably into the next lower high. So yeah, that could be anywhere around $7, assuming that it even continues to bounce at all. Yeah. In fact, the daily 200 simple is always a good place to be looking for on a dead cat bounce, and that's actually less than $7. It's actually close to 5.5 right now. So there is that. So if it does get continuation, I'd be a little bit cautious around there. Yeah, not terrible coming off of these lows though. To be fair, theoretically, it should try higher from where it's at right now. It's just I would be very defensive towards yet another higher term time frame, lower high. All right. Mr. Patham is back. He says, hype on the daily and weekly. Thanks for doing this since 2017. Fuck yeah, man. We have another OG of the cave. I love it, man. I love it. Hype, I actually have it on my list here. I continue to watch it, although I do not trade or hold this thing at all, but What stands out to me here first is the price action pivot, which is right just below 17 bucks. So that is to say, as long as you're above 17 bucks, you could still say that this thing is in an uptrend, which the price action pivots indicator identified back around here. So you could technically still follow that daily time frame. Might even see momentum turn back up to the upside if this thing can close above about 18 bucks and 90 cents, which it's quite close to right now. And if that does happen, I'd be looking for an extension towards 21-ish, 20, somewhere around there. But if you take out yesterday's low, basically, if you even just trade below there, I'd be effectively saying, hey, this is your next higher term time frame lower high. Get ready for 14-ish dollars. I mean, but until then, I guess a little bit of hopium still is alive. That's what I love about this price action pivots indicator, is that it tells you where things switch around. You have a very objectively defined area of interest for that. So if you wanted to put like a stop loss there, or just generally focus on trades in the same direction as a trend, I mean, following this is like, that's why I say it's really, really good for especially newer people, and also myself as well, man. Like, I'm getting so fucking lazy with reading trends, reading RSI, because I have all these tools now that just do it for me. It makes me consider that like maybe AI and automation is like not that good, because it's actually making me dumber in a way, and perhaps less effective. But I still like them. Anyways, let's see. Suomai Deep Ray. I'm going to call you Ray, sir, because I don't want to butcher your name more than what I just did. I apologize for that. Bitcoin 15-minute chart. Have you read Al Brooks trading books? I'm familiar with the name, but I actually don't really like reading trading books. I just don't find them that helpful. I find trading psychology books helpful, but not like strategy books. Just, you can't put a strategy into a book. It's hard enough to do it on video, and even then you have to speak in generalities, because you can't, like, whatever strategy you put out is going to be arbitraged away like pretty fucking fast. So it needs to be focused on principles rather than that. Anyways, I don't know if that's what his book's about or not, but hey, man, if you find it valuable, then it's fucking valuable. Like, it doesn't matter what my damn opinion is. Anyways, I need to go to higher term timeframes here to get a better idea of what the hell this thing is doing. Oh no, this is Bitcoin. I thought I was looking at some shitcoin. Anyways, 15-minute Bitcoin here. I am seeing that the price action pivots indicator is suggesting that this is actually a short-term downside trend, as long as Bitcoin's below, on a closing basis, 94,850. So as long as you're below there, which you are right now, should be looking for lower highs. So that's what I'd say about that. Really nothing more else to say, but yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. Maybe there's like a divergent signal over here. Let's see. What was this again? Oh yeah, it was Bitcoin. Like, it's the most obvious one, but I keep on forgetting. Anyways, yeah, you're gonna have potential for hidden bearish divergence here, because 15-minute RSI is making higher highs than this last high here, and it is a downtrend for now. So if it is going to continue down, you'd be expecting a local high right here. And if it does reclaim this region, I'd be looking for it to reapproach 95,200 or so. Maybe even breaks out from there too. Possible. All right, cool. Let's see what else we got on the old YouTubes here. Okay. GHB says some dude bought 1.9 million worth of Nvidia puts before the close. Get back into stocks, Krown. Avoid the shitcoin pull. You know, honestly, I was speaking in the Discord yesterday with a bunch of people, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to go back to traditional land and and trade options there. It's just, I don't know. I just feel safer there. I don't know what it is. I just feel safer there, man. Because one thing, like, if you have your money on a crypto exchange and the crypto exchange gets hacked or something of the sort, like, your money could very well be gone, like, for forever. Nothing you can do about that. Whereas in the stock market, okay, yes, the biggest complaint is that, oh, it's paper contracts and shit like this, whatever. Doesn't matter. You can, or at least in my opinion, doesn't matter. You actually own that stock. Like, your name is in a database somewhere as the owner of that stock at whatever price, and that's yours. So you wouldn't actually lose it. I guess maybe there's got to be like some sort of an event where that might be possible, but again, it's less of an issue there. Digital K has a nice super chat, but no message. So I'll just say, thanks, bro. Can you check out Palantir daily, weekly? It's getting close to all-time high. Yeah, man, I had to chase this one to get a position into it. I had to chase it a lot, actually. I wanted to buy it sub 90, and I got greedy on my chance to do that, but I ended up having to chase it around low 90s. Now trading 114. That was fucking fast. I think that this one's going to retest all-time highs relatively soon, probably in May. We see weekly hidden bullish divergence coming off this next, higher low. We see monthly as one massive bullish engulfing dildo. I think any pullback down to like $100, honestly, might even be investable at this point too. I mean, yes, this thing is getting pretty fucking hot here. So actually, I take back those words. It's probably in the final phase of its parabolic rally here. But who knows how high that it can go. I mean, the final phase is where things get most crazy. So yeah, I still think it's got more to go, but in terms of timing, I'd probably be looking for it to top out before the end of this year. That would be my general sort of idea for right now. If you're on a daily time frame, I mean, all time frames trends are up that matter. So there is that, I suppose. My Palantir average is $8. Fuck yeah, man. You're living up to your name. Your name is Rich. And if you bought it $8, you're fucking rich at this point, man. You did more than a 10x. You did like a 12x or something. Not easy to do in traditional markets, man. Very, very nice. But yeah, man, I like it. I always like investing in U.S. defense technology. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Anyways, let's see. Crypto Shark says, I'm going back to eating cupcakes and smoking crack. Good call, man. Good call. 95 says, have you heard of the 65 Fibonacci retracement called the Golden Pocket? Sir, I think someone's pulling a joke on you, sir. They're pulling your shirt over your face. It's the 618 is a golden pocket, actually. If you want to go by the traditional meaning, but whether it's the 618 or the 65, like it's all the same shit, man. I saw there was one channel that was popularizing the 62 before, and it's like 618 versus 62. Like, think about that for a second. It's effectively the same fucking number, but now it's the special, Fibonacci number. Fair enough, man. Anyways, the Italian Silence says, I need to get some more rocket and laser stocks. Yeah, I like it. Defense technology, you always need it. Countries always have to buy it, and it's probably the cutting edge of technology to begin with. I mean, what's more important than the defense of your national interests? I mean, makes a lot of sense to me, man. Yeah, once in a lifetime, but bet that one. Yeah, man, that's awesome. I wish. I'm trying to do the same thing as you with Anduril. So I've actually gotten onto the you have to be an accredited investor to actually get onto like these secondhand markets. As a private investor, and that's what I've been trying to do, but no one's taking my fucking bid. It sucks, man. Degenerate Speculator says, WTF title did I just read? It says it all in the title, man. If you can't figure it out from there, then, well, I got some questions for you. Digital K says, Ave weekly daily. Sure, man. What is the Ave doing? This one was a 2020 highly esteemed shitcoin, and what has it done this cycle? It's done what most shitcoins have done. It rallies, a very nice rally, but unfortunately makes yet another lower high. I still think that this is an area that bounces more than not, even if it is going to break down later. In the short term, if you can close back above Sunday's high, I would say that would be my confirmation of a breakout. And, this thing probably heads back above like $200. I'd say 225 to 230. Until then, it's kind of got the same issues as Bitcoin. It's like this would technically be a good place for another local high. So yeah, I'd keep my eyes on that. Higher term timeframes though suggest bounce is more likely than an actual pullback. Overall, on the higher term timeframes, not on the lower term timeframes. Maybe the daily pulls back a little bit and then gets picked up, puts in a higher low, and marches way up. Kind of around that area that I'm just speaking about. 4-hour time frame showing about the same pivot, 175. If you can trade back above there, close above there on a 4-hour time frame, you probably got that next breakout confirmation move somewhere, like I said, around like lowish 200s. Crypto Clown World says stonks beat. Oh, Stacks says Costco. Okay, Elsa's like yelling at me. Costco. I literally just put cost USD like a fucking moron. All right. Costco, NASDAQ, weekly, monthly. Sure. Okay. Weekly. Have you seen Costco's chart, sir?
No.
Would you like to look at it? Elsa doesn't know what Costco is because she's a Euro poor, but my mom has been talking to her, and I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my mom, but Costco comes up in every fucking conversation. Like, oh, I found this at Costco. It's such a good price. It is actually a very good store. I mean, they have some of the best meat there as well. And they actually have meat there, unlike fucking Finland, which doesn't have meat. Anyways, Costco, long term, obviously love it. Quarterly though, is this one putting in a local high here? If it is, you got some problems because that would be bearish divergence. I actually really don't know, man. If I had to call it, I'm just gonna go with the trend, and I'm gonna say up. Price action pivots showing obviously the April lows as the big pivot. So as long as you're above there, it can kind of just generally think to the upside. Next breakout level from the price action pivots on the daily is literally $1,000, almost to the dot. So I guess I'd be favoring still upside, but damn, man, the monthly and the quarterly RSI do have some pretty significant drives of bearish divergence. And, yes, it has had a decent pullback here, but it's not been anything super crazy. I mean, close to a 20% pullback, I guess. But, compared to other things, they went down like 25 to even 40, 50% on some of them. Tesla went down like 50, I think. So it's like, I don't want to bet against this thing, but I think it probably does enter into a prolonged sideways consolidation. And then you can have your resumption of long-term upside trend. Crypto Clown World says stonks BTDR. Let's see, what is this? I don't know. I don't recognize this ticker. BitDeer Techno. Oh, this must be a Bitcoin type thing, right? Very well, relatively new. I'm gonna struggle with this one because it's got like the shitcoin of death chart right here where it rallies up to the heavens and then falls back immediately. I have to say the same thing as I think on many things. It's like, does it make a new low below the April lows? Maybe at some later date, but I do think it's going to rally more first than before anything like that could potentially happen. And, this thing could easily rally back up to like $13.5, $14. What probability would you assess of Bitcoin holding the 50 moving average on bounce on the 3-day chart? I actually don't typically look at the 50 simple, but I do look at the 55 EMA. Let's just see what the 50 simple would look like. It's a little bit lower than the exponential. That makes sense, but $85,000. What would I assess the probability of it? Well, we can actually get probabilities with the HPDR, and even the bottom side of the 38.2 level on a 5-day time frame is actually decently lower than $85,000 as of right now. Now, obviously, this will change when we get the next update. Maybe that moves a little bit down, maybe moves a little bit up. Maybe it's going to be 85 at that point, but that would give it a pretty high probability if Bitcoin does actually break the median. So if Bitcoin were to break the median, I would say it's probably more likely than not. But yeah. Anyways, Nero's Art says, Maker 3-day weekly outlook. Thanks for everything you do. All good, man. I'm just an idiot talking on the internet, brother. Anyways, what was it again? Maker. Yes. Okay. Maker. Let's see. What? It's only on OKX? That can't be right. I definitely remember this thing on all kinds of exchanges. All kinds. Also doesn't trade, apparently. No, it's 15-minute. There's got to be a more long-running chart than this. Yes, here we go. All right. I found it. All right. For what it's worth, it does have macro higher lows from cycle to cycle, at least for now. Like most things, I do favor general upside, even if there is some short-term downside. But, monthly stochastic momentum's literally freshly crossing up above 1488. I think that the next move is to the upside. I think it'll get close to $2,000 at least. But as long as you are below the December highs, technically that is a bearish pivot. So should have a downside bias more long term, but could be a decent move to the upside. In the more immediate term, you do have a weekly higher low here. And your last relevant high was essentially a 200 simple, which is 1635. So closing above there, yeah, I think that you get a nice rally above 2,000, maybe even higher as well, possible. Yeah, 3-day, maybe another charge at the 200 simple here. That's actually a little under 2,000 as well. So not great, but not terrible. Certainly not as terrible as many of the shitcoins. All right. Could you take a look at ASM on the 3-month chart? It looks good. Is this a crypto or a stonk? I'm guessing it's probably crypto. Assemble AI. So it's got the narrative. It does not have the chart. I would have to disagree, man. The quarterly chart looks absolutely fucking atrocious, man. Looks really, really bad. Like really fucking bad. Like really fucking bad. Like really, really bad. Maybe you're talking about the actual stock. I'll let you let me know. Van Joyce says, you may be an idiot, but to some people, you've been really great. Hopefully hopefully a little bit of that at least. It is what it is though, man. I appreciate that, that sentiment, of course. But yeah, man, you know, I'm just talking shit about stuff that I've been studying for 15 years now, maybe longer. Anyways, Nuke says the Circ. Yeah, actually that would have been a good chart for the old Nuke there. Stack says, so basically just following global market uncertainty seems like, yeah, I mean, the market generally just kind of trades with itself, or all markets generally trade with themselves. Yes. Ultimate Team Day says virtual protocol on the daily. Okay, I'm going to type this one in. I don't know the precise ticker. Virtual, maybe this one. Ah, there we go. Yeah, that looks like it. Virtuals. It's got the shitcoin chart of death here. You know, it had this massive rally in January, came down, didn't make new lows below its all-time lows, but you know, not necessarily the picture of health and fitness here, I would say. Now, does it have more upside potentially? I think it could spike a little bit higher in the short term. Maybe closer to this swing to this swing right here, like 163, 165. But you know, that should be a pullback area. If not, you know, maybe even happens from here. I mean, you are right at the daily 200 simple, and you can see that it, you know, it kind of wants to come back to it like a magnet right now. So I would actually say that, yeah, this is probably the next place for a local high. Now, a local high doesn't mean that it's going to go back down and make new lows, but I would be at least looking for a higher low somewhere, you know, decently lower, which is maybe closer to like $1. From there. And hey, if I'm wrong, you'll know if it trades and closes above 164. At that point, this thing can go on for a mega rally towards, you know, $2.25, $2.50. But I think it's more likely to pull back first than anything else. You know, you're seeing that same sort of read on the daily stochastic momentum oscillator alongside, you know, reaching a major moving average. Like, you're going to be better off not betting against that, at least in the short term. But like I said, short term pullback into a higher low would still be bullish more long term. I mean, you know, this thing has higher lows as long as you're above. Price action pivots over here at 52 cents. So, you know, that gives you a very, very wide berth of or margin of error. Nice. Oh shit, I actually have to get off soon because I do have a massage today, which I desperately need. Anyways, let's see. The Supra 7TT says, can you do Cream USD on the 24-hour, please, sir? Nuked. Well, I'm sure it's great, man. It's called Cream Finance after all. And look at that. Look at the 4-hour. Look at how much it trades. Wow. We have the next best chart, sir. We have the next best chart. And you know what? Here it goes.
Nuclear launch detected.
I'm dropping it. And there she is. A chart that only a mother could love, that is well on its way to a long-term death. Beautiful. Just beautiful. It's an amazing chart. See, here's the thing. I bet you on this rally right here, everyone was like, not everyone, but you know, the Cream Finance enjoyers were like, oh my God, this is it. It's going back to all-time highs. This is fucking it, guys. I knew it. I knew that if I hold, I'm going to be rewarded for holding for my diamond hands. The makers of Cream Finance going to reward me. I love it. Love it. I've been a good, loyal follower. And now we're going back to all-time fucking highs. And then what happens after that? Well, what happens after that is something that we just saw. A fucking nuke explodes and it goes down even lower than it was before and continues on with a long-term downtrend closer and closer towards zero. Although probably not ever hitting zero, but closer and closer towards it over time. Let's see. The Twilight Kid says, Krown, Sui, please, more upside. Please, can we have more upside? not that I decide which things have upside and downside, but I still think that this one's putting in a local high here, man. Yesterday's rejection is significant and acts as a very obvious pivot, meaning that as long as you are below yesterday's high, and I understand that this sort of analysis is actually not that helpful because it's not super actionable, but as long as you're below yesterday's high, I would be treating this as a local high in place. We do see, again, daily stochastic momentum turning down as long as it's below 376. I feel, I'd be looking at that white 200 simple at about 3.25 as kind of a magnet for price action. Again, though, it is on higher low watch. Your last higher low was all the way down here at $2. So it could theoretically come down to like $3, set in a higher low, and then try again to the upside later. But to be honest, this is a really fucking good place for a macro lower high. Just shooting it straight, man. But if the monthly closes as a bullish engulfing dildo, I guess I should be bullish off of that. A lot can happen in a day and a half, though, so we'll see. William says, hey, Krown, finally made it to one of these live streams after 7 years. Holy shit, man. That's awesome. Not sure if you remember me, but I made the green and red dildo emote. Oh, really? That was you? Oh my God. You're not just an OG. You're like a legend. That's awesome, man. Fuck yeah. Those are my favorite emoticons. I use them all the time. I really do actually use them all the time. And I think it maybe confuses people because they're like, if they don't know me that well, they're like, why are you giving my comment a red dildo or a green dildo? Like, do you think I'm gay or something? I don't know. Yes, we all know. We all know. Sell in May and castrate myself. Nice. Well, fair enough.
Someone had a good question.
What was the question?
Krown, how do I get a girlfriend?
Krown, how do I get a girlfriend? Well, first you have to act cool. And look, there's actually a great place to get some girlfriends now. I'm not even joking right now. I'm not even joking. Let me show you how you can get some good girlfriends. And this is, I'm not shilling this project or anything like this. I just think that this is the future. And it's this. We have AI girlfriends already coming on, and they are, of course, crypto, running on crypto rails, whatever the fuck that means. And you can you can decide exactly what you want. In fact, oh, I remember this one. Let's see. Hold on. I will find this for you. What was it? Yes. I have a solution for you. Oh, yeah. There she... No, God damn it. I want the video. Yes, there she is. She looks beautiful. She's very beautiful, in fact. Look at that. Look at that. Anyways, you're welcome. You can... Oh, and here we go.
I'm Aria, the flagship female companion robot of Realbotics, and I can provide companionship, engage in fun
companionship, yes.
And adapt to your preferences.
She's
for
a companion.
Experience.
I'm Melody.
It's true. Everyone's going to be getting girlfriends soon. Everyone. Your girlfriend's going to have a girlfriend. Dark Slayer says, super please in all capitals. Well, you don't need to fucking yell, man, but you can look at super, I guess. Just calm down. Super. I still think that this one overall goes higher. I think this one actually might go higher from where it's at right now without a pullback. But regardless of whether it pulls back or not, I still think that this thing will see somewhere north of $1 in the coming months. The monthly is on one massive bullish engulfing dildo as of right now. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing trading back around $1 in the coming months. Don't really much to say about it other than that. Can they make sandwiches? That I don't know. Man. I would think, honestly, yes. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be able to do like house chores and shit, so should be able to do a sandwich.
Also,
What?
no, they will never get fat.
Elsa says, also, they will never get fat. Jesus Christ. Well, that's my biggest fear. Elsa getting fat. Don't do it. Elsa, whenever she doesn't like something that I do, she says, don't do it. Don't do it. So that's what I say. She thinks about getting fat. Don't do it. Don't do it. She actually sent me a story from the Finnish news yesterday about this very nice whale who is looking for a boyfriend but cannot find one because, I don't know. Are they specific for anal? I'm sure they can figure that out. If they can figure out how to make her eyes look normal, then they can figure out that, I'm sure. They attach a flashlight to it. It's no problem, man. PP, please, for bad R. Sure, man. I haven't looked at this one in a while, actually. I should say that Super actually does look relatively strong here compared to a lot of the shitcoins that we've seen today. Whoops. Let's go to the crypto. PP, not a big fan of this chart, but similar to Super, I do think that the next move is a rally. I think that this one will at some point get somewhere back around this blue line, 120,000, whatever the fuck's, at least. And then I want to come back to it after that. Daily, if it can close back above Saturday's high, I'd say, yeah, you're probably going to see that move somewhere around here.
Did you get that last chat?
Did I? Let's see. Yes, I did miss it. Sorry, Asti. I apologize for that. Flare, relief rally, or you know what's funny, Asti, is that a guy that I met in my gym actually told me about this one, Flare. It actually looks kind of interesting.
People at your gym?
I've met a few at the gym, yes. But yeah, anyways, as far as Flare goes, like long term, I don't like the chart, obviously. I mean, it does have higher lows from cycle to cycle, I guess, but it doesn't have new highs from cycle to cycle, and that I really don't like. Anyways, do I think it's going to rally more from here? I have to say the same thing as what I've been saying on most of these things. It might have a short-term pullback, it might not. I'd treat it as more likely to resolve to the upside as long as you're above yesterday's low. Yes, I know the price action pivots here is at 1.5 cents, but I think in this case, you know, I would probably override that myself. Again, no indicator is going to be perfect, but do I think it's going to rally more for? You know, I am more inclined to say that. Yes, weekly has regular bullish divergence. Monthly doesn't have any divergence because it can't, but you know, I do think that it'll trade north of 2 cents. You know, even if it's like super bearish, it should at least get around there, 2 to 2.25 cent, that is. And you know, if it continues from there, then maybe we come back to it and look at it again. But I'd be keeping that in mind, at least for now. Again, as long as it's above yesterday's low, like not terrible in the short term. All right. Let's see. Link, please, for Scoop 77. Might it tap $17? I don't know. I haven't looked at Link in so long. I don't even remember like where it even is around. Wow, $15 right now. Could it tap 17? Yeah, I think so. Again, I have the same thing to say about this as most altcoins. It's like, look, as long as you're above yesterday's low, should probably be favoring upside. If it takes out yesterday's low, it's still going to be on higher low watch, which come down to like maybe $13, for example, but it would be fine. Anyways, could it tap 17? Yeah, in fact, that would be my target if it can actually close above Saturday's high or Friday's high, last Friday's high. If it can do that, then yeah, I'd be looking maybe even a little bit above 17, somewhere around this white moving average here. But, you know, I would really be waiting for confirmation of a breakout first, though, just to be very clear, because if it does play at a pullback, it'll be very, very fast. But, you know, at least Link does have these higher lows. It doesn't have higher highs, but it does have higher lows. So I'd give it the benefit of the doubt right there. And looking at the monthly, you know, assuming it closes something like this, yeah, I do think it will try higher in April from where it's at right now, maybe $17, $18, something like that. Bro, the gaming narrative is ready to pump. Why is no one talking about this? Says Dr. J. Well, I don't know. Why is it ready to pump? I genuinely don't know. It's like is it? I'm just assuming the assumption is correct. I'm not sure. But you tell me, man. You tell me. Why? Because I certainly don't know. I can just look at charts, man. Let's see. AIXCB. What the fuck? AIXCB. Oh shit, we need to actually shut this off. I don't even think that this is, what, is it this thing?
Joe closed them?
You don't even need to close them. I mean, I'm just going to shut it off. Did you do AIOZ? Yeah, we can do that really quick. We'll end on that one for Sushi Yum Yums, another OG of the cave. Yum Yum Yums. Elsa loves sushi as well. Long term, weird as fuck. But again, at least it has higher lows, I guess. I'd say the same thing on this one. As I've said on many things, if it can trade and close back above Saturday's high, I'd be looking for it to take another leg up. This one could reach somewhere around 60 cents. Until it actually does that, though, this is kind of a precarious place for a pullback, potentially into a higher low. Again, your last higher low was 25 cents or around there. So it could pull back to like 32.5 cents. That would still be a higher low. If it does pull back from where it's at right now, it's a little bit difficult. Overall, based off the weekly, I think even if it did pull back to, mid 30s, you still got one more move to the upside overall in the next month or two. I would imagine to, 55, 60 cents at least. But yeah, I think that is where we will end things for today, guys. All right. Oh, Dr. J was being facetious. Very clever, sir. I didn't catch it. I also wouldn't know anyways. Yeah, it's been a lovely little Tuesday live stream. I'm excited to continue to do these again on Tuesdays and Fridays. So we'll be back on, actually not this Friday, because I'm going to go live with Kyle, who I haven't spoken with in a long time. And holy shit, there's Bear Nutrition. He's actually the progenitor of the price action pivots. Thank you for tapping the likes as well. And we shall shut it off at this moment. Elsa's waving in the background because she loves you and I love you too. And